We begin today with a story gripping the world. A dangerous mission underway in Thailand right now to save these 12 boys and their soccer coach trapped in a cave. NBC's Bill Neely is there with the very latest. Watch.
A fifth soccer player inside an ambulance after more than 2 weeks inside a cave. This is the moment they're hoping to repeat today, one many feared would never come. The end of a nightmare for one small boy, carried on a gurney to a waiting helicopter, then off to the hospital. A doctor glimpsed for a moment, treating him in the ambulance. Another helicopter poised for the second of 4 boys. And today the divers are doing it all again, a battle against water and time on a route that's already proved a death trap. Today too the boys will be taken out 2 by 2, clinging to ropes, guided by elite divers for more than 2 miles. The first 4 boys chosen were the strongest, say commanders, the youngest to go just 13 years old. The aunt of one of them saying, "I haven't laughed for a long time. Today I'm happy." This is D-Day, said the commander launching the rescue. We have to act now. Less than 8 hours after it started, the boys emerged. 2 hours later, a second pair. 4 were free. 3 of the boys who've been freed went to this school. 3 more students are still trapped. But today, their friends are relieved.
Good feeling.
It's a good feeling.
Yeah.
On the day his friends disappeared, one boy had skipped soccer practice to watch the World Cup on TV. The boys' friends say this is the place they want to take them when they're all free. After that, it's fried chicken. One diver told NBC News the boys yesterday were totally calm. Their escape route widened just hours before as rescuers drilled through cave walls. But it was a rescue made urgent by falling oxygen levels in the caves and falling rain outside. The commander said today the same team of 90 divers are underground again. The remaining boys and their coach yearning to see the sunshine, their lives still hanging in the balance.
Wow, and joining me now to discuss it is Bill. Bill, question for you. So what have you seen so far today? We've had conflicting numbers on the number of rescued children so far.
Yeah, Megyn, night has fallen here, and it looks from the scene behind me like the operations are finished for the day. We know 5 boys have been freed so far, 1 confirmed today. But just a few minutes ago, we saw another ambulance. In fact, 3 ambulances in total left. So it could be at the end of today, we have 8 boys freed, which would leave 5 people still trapped in the cave. But we haven't had confirmation of that yet, Megyn.
What is the most challenging part of getting them out, Bill? And how did they get so far in there?
Well, both interesting questions, Megyn. You know, we just talked to one diver who was in yesterday. He said the most challenging thing was actually not physical, it was complacency after yesterday's success and all that euphoria, because complacency can kill divers, never mind weaken children. As for how they got in there in the first place, they were at soccer practice. It was a bit of a ritual to go into the caves, to run to the very end, to write your name on the wall, a bit like an initiation ritual. And that's what they did. But the flash flood just came so quickly. It trapped them. The boys knew that cave section reasonably well, and they just went for it as far as they could, running for their lives. And it does now look, Megyn, like many of those lives are saved.
Wow. Bill, thank you so much. I've got the chills, right? Like, imagine these young kids so afraid, and now one by one being rescued. And prayers for the remainder. Joining me now to discuss this and other headlines making the rounds this morning, Today Show correspondent Jenna Hager, NBC News and MSNBC legal analyst Dan Goldman, and MSNBC political analyst Zerlina Maxwell. Great to see you all. Hi.
Hello.
Oh, it's like you don't want to celebrate too early on this kind of thing, right? Because they're not yet all out. But when you see the international effort with 90 divers, they are the same guys going in who got the first few out, working together just to save this, human life, the price we put on human lives. It's inspirational. It's nerve-wracking, right?
Yes. I mean, I feel like everybody has been watching this, the whole world. And it feels good to come around something where these heroes are risking their lives.
Yeah.
One man has already died. I just think it's unbelievable. And to read these kids' letters to their parents. I love one little boy wrote, "Pork barbecue, please." He still wrote a please.
And how about the soccer coach, the 25-year-old soccer coach who wrote, because they were able to pass letters to the rescuers, who wrote, "I'm sorry," to the moms and dads, "I'm so sorry." And all the moms and dads wrote back, "We're not mad at you.
Right.
Thank you for taking care of our boys in there."
Well, and also one of the boys wrote to his parents to reassure them that he's okay. He's going to be he's going to tough it out and be okay. But it's remarkable. I mean, it's been almost 17 days that they've been in there. It's a tremendous amount of time.
Right. Think of how hungry they are, how scared they were. And the thing that I can't stop thinking about is they're not telling the parents which boy is coming out next, out of respect for the other parents whose boy it isn't. Right. And can you imagine sitting there as a parent, waiting, right? Like, just dying inside about whether it's going to be your son or someone else's son who you inevitably care about as well, their teammates. There's just the agony, and for some, hopefully followed by ecstasy moments thereafter.
I think we've all been thinking a lot about the value of life, the importance of life, how precious it is, especially this year. And this story really just doubles down on that. It's really just shows the strength of the human spirit. These children, their coach, who's it seems like they're a unit, a team, and it also goes to show just how difficult this type of rescue is. If you look at some of the simulations and diagrams, it just looks completely impossible. But it shows you just how amazing these rescue teams are.
Absolutely, because I mean, there was a Navy SEAL, a Thai Navy SEAL, who died trying to set the kids up for success on the exit, putting oxygen tanks throughout the route. And he died from lack of oxygen, the guy who was placing the oxygen tank. So it can creep up on you. You know, there's very low oxygen in the cave as it is, and less than 15% can lead to all sorts of problems. They say the boys have less than 15% in there, but they're breathing through these canisters that they've gotten into them. It's just like crazy.
These heroes that are risking their own lives to save these little boys, it's the best of humanity in a time when I think we all need that.
Absolutely right. And on a very different note, something very different is happening in London. You tell me whether it's the best of humanity or not. So President Trump is going there this week, and some of the Londoners have decided that they want an enormous orange Trump baby balloon in a diaper to be flying over London when he gets there. That's it. It's got a little chest hair. You see, it's got a little chest hair. And they do not mean this in a nice way. And the London mayor has approved of it. It couldn't get in the air without the London mayor approving it. So we're divided. And now Rudy Giuliani, President Trump's lawyer, has come out and said that the London mayor, Sadiq Khan, ought to be ashamed of himself. Yeah. And there's a question. Obviously, Trump has been disrespectful in his language with respect to this mayor and pretty much everybody else. But is this right? Does that make it right?
Free speech. Let him do it. I mean, lighten up. I think the president needs a better sense of humor. I think the people who defend the president on air, they need also a sense of humor.
President Trump hasn't yet complained, right? It's just
No, it's
Giuliani.
just Rudy Giuliani. Yeah. But a lot of times Rudy Giuliani is speaking for the president, as we know. And so I just think that everybody needs to lighten up. If you
would you have thought that if it were a giant balloon showing Barack Obama as a baby?
There were plenty of things that made fun of Barack Obama, and certainly.
But would you have been upset? You know, because the argument is that it's disrespectful to America and to the majority of Americans who put him in the office or support him now.
I don't think so. I think it's a joke. I think we need to lighten up.
I think when you become president of the United States, you have to have a thick skin.
Yeah.
Because things like this, and probably worse than a giant orange balloon, somewhat ironic, are going to be out there. And I think if nobody spoke about it, if his team didn't fire back, we wouldn't be talking about it.
It wouldn't get as much attention.
Well, that's also true. And this is the most sort of outlandish speaking president that we've had, who also is the most thin-skinned. And it's sort of the bully aspect where you have someone who will strike hard but can't take it. You can dish it, but you can't take it.
Right.
And if you're going to dish it, you got to be able to take it.
It's going to come back your way. Yeah. Politics is a rough game.
Right.
Politics taxes are up. And Trump has given it to his mayor pretty good, too. Trump's given it to his mayor pretty good. I guess it still needs to be met with approval by the police, but, you know, what are the odds they're going to say no? It's kind of like, wouldn't you just, like, look up and see that and think, wow, okay. Anyway, we'll watch as the giant Trump baby makes its way over London.
Your next guest, the person who created the baby.
See whether he escapes okay.
Hello, Today fans. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking that button down there and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives.